Terms and conditions for quotations for your new clients. Have you ever considered that? G'day viewers, it's Geoff McPhee from McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Terms and condition is really essential for our successful running of our business. What they do is it creates a roadmap for your customer to know what your requirements are. Terms and conditions written are better than verbal because there's no misunderstanding. If there's a dispute, we can pull out the terms and conditions and we can work that through with our client and come to a amicable arrangement at the end. Whereas verbal, it's a he said, she said, no, you didn't say that. Whereas written, it's quite easy. Now, terms and conditions are normally, in my case, is that it's written on the quotation. So every job that we go to that we quote on will include the scope of works. For example, lawn mowing, the edging, the mowing, whether it's going to be caught or whether it's going to be mulch, whether we're going to use their bin or we're going to take the bin away, and we'll give a price and we'll give a frequency. Now underneath that we'll have terms and conditions. These will include, the most important thing is payment terms. Written down they will say payment is to be expected upon completion of the job, or you may give them 7 days. In reference to commercial jobs, I always have my clients in the commercial area on 14 days. 30 days, it gets a bit hairy because what happens in 30-day accounts, if you miss the deadline, you could be up to 60 days before you get paid. So all my commercial clients are 14 days, and when I've acquired a commercial customer, immediately I'll get onto the accounts payable people and I'll say, listen now, remember our terms are 14 days, everything's set for that. Tell them all about the banking details, give them a sample invoice so that they know what to expect, and away you go, and it's easy. They'll need 14 days because they'll need to go and get approvals before they actually approve the amount to go into your account. But with the residential, normally I'll say to them upon completion, unless they might have quite a few visits through the month, I'll give them the invoice at the end of the month and it'll be paid upon receipt of the invoice. Now the other thing in payment terms is late payments. I think this is a particular point. If you are concerned about late payments and you want to ensure that they avoid that, what we do is we put in a surcharge for late payments over a particular time frame. Now you might say over 14 days or 28 days, 30 days or whatever, it's up to you, you're the one that knows your business. Now with a surcharge of late payments, if you specify that in the quotation stage and then replicate that on the invoice, you'll find yourself okay. Now the surcharge could be a 10%, 20%, it could be a flat fee. But you really can't do the surcharge or the flat fee on a client that hasn't paid, but you haven't mentioned that in any previous documentation. So I believe the written quotation is one of the first things to happen there. The other terms and condition, of course, is scheduling. Now we always have that customer that goes, oh look, can you, rings up the day before, we're going on holidays, can you do it next week or can you do it when we get back? Well, the terms and conditions, you can lay this out. You'll say, listen, the quote is based on 26 cuts a year or 52 or 21 or whatever the cuts are, and the frequency will be 1, 2, 3, whatever weeks it will be. And from there, if they say, listen, can you do it next week? Well, you obviously can't because you've got other customers you've got to service. So you'll instruct the customer that'll be done on the next visit, in other words, the next fortnight, if it's on the 2-weekly cycle. But you'll be up for a surcharge. Now that surcharge could be the total amount, in other words, a double amount, or you might charge a 50% amount. I normally charge a double amount. So if they've missed the first one, when I come around to the second one, it'll be a month, the grass will be longer, the job will take longer, so they'll have to pay that extra time it'll take me. So they'll only do that once or twice before they think twice. Of course, if there's emergency, you're going to have to work something out with the customer. I mean, that all happens. Or if it's weather, but then again, weather you might, that's not their fault. So it's only when they cause the problem that you'll create that surcharge. Other things with the terms and conditions is that the site must be clean and access must be unlimited. So that means the gate's unlocked, the dog poop's picked up, the toys, the hoses, everything's clean so you get a good crack at the backyard. You don't want to be there for half a long again on the job trying to get everything cleaned up before you actually mow and waste time. So what, in your terms and conditions, you can say if the gate is locked or if the backyard is not clean, what will happen is you'll do the front yard and they'll have to pay the full amount for that service. So when they come back for the following term, you will hope that everything's cleaned up. But you can't just say, oh look, I'll give you a discount because I didn't do the backyard. The fact that you had to do the service in the first place and visit the place, that's time. So we put a surcharge, which will be the normal amount for that. Another thing on terms and conditions is stones in garden beds. If it's evident that upon quotation it's going to be a problem, if that's got to be pointed out to the client and say that, listen, we can't do brush cutting in that area, or we can't mow in that particular area, we should spray, or if they insist on mowing or whippersnipping in that area, their responsibility of a broken window will be placed back onto them because you've already pointed out that there will be a hazard. Now, terms and conditions for landscaping jobs and rejuvenations and jobs that will cost money, in other words, purchase of materials, you'll have a few extra terms and conditions. For example, a deposit. Any job that we do that involves costs out of our own pocket, a deposit will be requested prior to the commencement of work. So we take, for example, say a mulching of a garden bed. So what we'll do is we'll obviously got the process of cleaning the garden beds out, so there'll be a tip fee, the supply and lay of the mulch, and then cleaning all up. So what we'll say in the terms and conditions in a deposit, that'll include the cost of a certain amount. Now that amount will equal the cost it'll take you to buy the material, the time taken to organise it, any tip fees that may have been incurred. So when you start the job, you're not out of pocket. So when the job's complete, you'll then request the balance upon completion. Quite simple. I think the deposits is quite easy to ask for. I wouldn't do a job without a big deposit. As far as written contracts are concerned, I haven't had to do that. I know some contractors do. I know some larger jobs that you may need to do a written contract. But then you probably need legal advice to go to that extent. My terms and conditions are simple, concise and easy to understand, and it's something that we can use with the customer and say, listen, if we've got a problem, you can sit down and then we can work through that with our terms and conditions. When it comes to pruning and hedging and stuff like that, I think you can write things down in your quotation, but the ability to use your modern technology like your iPhones and your Android phones, you can actually produce photos and you can actually draw on those photos, measuring where you're going to prune to or which trees you're going to remove, so that the customer has that information, and when the job's complete, you both understand it's quite clear what entailed for everything to be done. So there's my take on terms and conditions. I don't know whether you use it or not. I know a lot of guys I've spoken to don't, but I think that if you look at a lot of businesses, many of them do use that, and I think the old T's and C's, as they call them, is an essential part of our operation. And again, it's just another professional slant on running your business. Just puts you back up into that professional level. Some customers don't like it. Now, the ones that don't like it are probably going to be a problem at any rate. But generally I've found no one has complained about it, and the times that when we've had a small problem, it was easily sorted out through going back to the terms and conditions, which I'll have a copy and you'll have a copy. So food for thought. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel before, and some comments and likes and shares would be great. The channel's sort of chugging along a bit slow at the moment, but that's what YouTube does. You can have some great videos and good numbers, and then you can have those lulls. But I'm going to keep punching them out and keep going, and hopefully we'll come good eventually. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.